May as well get started then. All right, so welcome everyone. We've got Alpha Gaming here with us today. We've got Jerry and Pix. Do you guys want to start by introducing yourselves?
Yeah, thanks.
Cool.
Thanks,
You go,
Riptide.
Jerry.
Pix. Yeah, cheers, mate. All right. Yeah, thanks for having us, guys. We're Alpha Gaming DAO. I'm sure lots of the people that are listening at the moment and are going to have a listen have heard somewhat about us, but we'll give you a bit of a rundown on what we're about. So we are we're a democratic DAO that's going to be operating mainly within the Harmony ecosystem across multiple games. We're looking at giving people the opportunity to learn and be exposed to lots of different games that they wouldn't necessarily have had the chance to. We find that in the space, people tend to gravitate to one game in particular and have to spend a lot of time concentrating on learning and playing about that, and sometimes miss opportunities that come along. So we're trying to be a place where people can learn early and good alpha information on new games in the Harmony ecosystem. Pix, I'll throw it over to you.
I'll probably just touch on maybe myself and a little bit about what's coming up. So, yeah, I go by the name Pix Edica. I solely invested in Harmony and started out making creative content for Harmony as a hobby and did most of which for free. Was picked up by Alpha Gaming. So, so I create a lot of our digital content with another one of our members, Free Pack, and manage the social channels as well. So I guess what we're working towards at the moment is releasing some information probably tomorrow with a competition which is planned for as well. So which will give a small insight to our upcoming NFT badge mint, which will allow, I guess, bring our community together. And this will serve as almost a membership token, I guess. Some people have used it as a whitelist as such, but it's a badge for our members to hold, which will bring everyone together and allow access to our token sale thereafter at an IDO. Working towards that on the 10th of April.
Kevin's here. Kev, if you want to raise your hand, Riptide will be able to bring you in as well. Kev's one of our founders. So basically, the team's been working together since, late December, early January. Our plan has been to sort of build a community and show that we can offer value, added value, and we think we've started off in a pretty good sense in that, and that's led to just testing the waters as to whether people like the idea, and we've had quite a positive response. So that's now led us down the track that we think that we've got something that can be gone on with. So our badges will come out in the next 9 days, and they'll be the start of our investment strategy and the start of people having membership opportunities and ownership opportunities of the DAO.
Oh, nice.
So it's pretty exciting. We've sort of been working little bits here and there with lots of teams. We've run a lot of AMAs at this point, and a couple of little giveaways and competitions that we've been able to put together. We've had a little fun tournament. We've got King of the Whales now from our little tournament with the Atlantis crew. That was really fun, and we see lots of ways forward with those sorts of things. Just building community and building relationships and sharing information. We're sort of hoping to get sort of 2,000 to 5,000 members, and really lighten that load of being able to, go around and keep eyes on multiple projects and be able to find those really good information streams to come through, to really be able to share that knowledge. Kev, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, morning all. Yep, I'm Kevin. Just really excited for the future that we have ahead, and looking forward to having partnerships with all the different games within the ecosystem. Looking forward to holding many assets and being able to bring new players into the scene, and those that can't afford to buy some of these in-game assets that are quite expensive to get into the game, then giving them the opportunity to come along and rent and try out one of the NFTs is one of the main ethoses that we've wanted to bring together when we started the Alpha Gaming DAO, and really looking forward to coming into the cosmic universe and exploring everything that you guys are going to create into the future.
Yeah, nice. It sounds like you've got a pretty good outlook on diversifying for your portfolio and stuff. So it's good.
Yeah, I think Kev's touched on a pretty interesting point there as well. That we've seen it with Axie and we've seen it with other games, that opportunity there within the play and earn space for people from a background that isn't necessarily as fortunate as some other places in the world can really do quite well out of these games, and so being a little bit of a hub for those people to be able to get introduced to play and earn gaming is going to be an important part of our future. We recognise that there will be lots of members that have too many assets and don't have the time to necessarily quest them efficiently and cost effectively. And being able to bring them together with members that would like maybe not to outlay or not be able to outlay the capital to get started into these games, to be able to launch them into hopefully financial freedom. You hear so many great stories and opportunities out there that come along with passive income, and we really think there's an opportunity there to step into that space in the Harmony ecosystem, because it's not necessarily happening that much yet. Now, there's lots of games that are going to be building their own rental systems and their own scholarship systems, but we think there's definitely a role there for us in some of the newer games, and also in the early stages of these bigger games like Cosmic Universe. So it's actually really quite exciting what could become of that situation.
Yeah, I think the potential is pretty big. I've got a question for you. So you've mentioned in your intro on the Alpha Gaming DAO channel that we set up for you, you've mentioned that there'll be some sub DAOs managing the larger holdings and a Moon DAO for the newer investments. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah. So that's basically how we intend on running our major investments. So obviously this is all going to be democratic, and when you're in a DAO, these things are all subject to vote. But the plan at this stage is the Central Treasury will fund separate DAOs. So we'll have sort of multiple sub DAOs, starting off with the ones that we're initially going to put to our community will be DFK, and when we get to a stage where there is gameplay in CU, that'll come up for the next vote as well, we imagine. And yeah, so that'll lead to needing sub-DAO managers that'll manage those particular games a little bit more carefully and a little bit more intensely. Whereas our newer and smaller investments and things that are sort of less time intensive will all slip into that Moon DAO and hopefully grow to such a point, along with those games growths, that they will need their own sub DAO into the future. And that's how we intend to put those things together. I don't think I've missed anything there, Kev, have I?
No, that's pretty much the what we're going for. The sub DAO will be, yes, where there's got a time issue and there's a larger portfolio, more gameplay, and this Moon DAO will just be trying to capture those up and coming ones before there's a real gameplay. But there is gameplay, in-game assets and a future play to earn structure. And yeah, if we can capture as many of those and share our communities these opportunities, that's kind of what we're going to be about.
Yeah, and then we see sort of players that spend more time in these particular games. So sort of looking through our CU crew that we're seeing here, you know, your Shantastics and your Greylands and these sorts of people that are spending more time, and Cheesy, you know, these people that know lots about their individual games can come in, help in those Moon DAOs with sharing their information and their knowledge, learn from other players, but also through their membership and their tokens be exposed to other games. So that their efforts in those particular sub DAOs, whilst helping other players, they'll be getting help from players in the other DAOs through their exposure with the token. We just, especially, I think everyone in our team has, and lots of people in crypto, you know, once you find these games and you start to go deep on a particular game, it can be really hard to lift your eyes and to be able to see what's coming next. And that opportunity cost of missing the next one is what we're concentrating on. Like, there's this whole ecosystem in Harmony being built, and there's some wonderful ideas and wonderful games, but to be able to follow them all, like for myself and Kev and Pix, I'm sure you guys have found the same. Since we've been doing Alpha, it really takes that opportunity to dive deep into individual games. It makes it a little bit harder. So we understand that we need other people's help. We need we need engagement from community members to actually be able to do this properly, or else you just miss the opportunities. So that's a big part of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, that sounds really good. I do know what you mean as well about missing opportunities because you're too focused on what you're already invested in. I've definitely experienced that.
And so we just don't want to be. So we find we will get to the stage where holding the Alpha token will mean that at least in some point you are exposed to these newer games that are entering the Moon DAO. So there will be financial exposure there, but there will also be, that opportunity to find out. We'll be pinging people about these new things. We'll set up as you've seen, little sub-DAO pages there. We're sharing lots of newsletters and these sorts of things just so people don't miss them. So we hope to sort of be that one hub, like when you come out of your CU Discord where you've spent lots of time for the day, drop into the Harmony one for half an hour, have a chat, drop into the Alpha one for half an hour, have a chat to some people, share what you found for the day, and maybe find something else out new and interesting about someone else, something else that you so you don't have to follow 35 different announcements all the way down the left side of your Discord screen. You can just pop into us and have a look at what's happening around you and around the rest of the ecosystem.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, I might sort of get a couple of these questions from the community asked. So I'll start with one from Gorilla Jazz, which is, what is the relationship between Alpha Gaming DAO and CU? And are the founders of CU also the founders of Alpha Gaming DAO?
Yeah, I can take that one. It's all begun with Master Roshi came to me with this great idea of he was seeking someone who had a good knowledge into DeFi kingdoms to be able to run basically the sub-DAO, because we saw the DeFi kingdoms as the early play where there was money floating around, lots of capital floating around, and lots of players holding lots of in-game assets. And so Master Roshi came to me and asked if I'd like to come on board, and he said, and I agreed that it was a great idea and a great opportunity. And he had been speaking to Wizard, who's just a genius, and so Wizard's been helping us create the structure that we're about to launch in 10 days. It really knew a lot about what it takes to launch a token and build a community, and it shows with how good your community has been, how strong. And yeah, we see Cosmic Universe as one of the early opportunities that we're going to strive to. Like, we all hold a fair few wizards and a fair few bits of land, and we hope to set up a Alpha Gaming DAO resort if we can, or a place that members can come and interact with each other, share resources, share opportunities within the game. And yeah, Shantastic also was helping us a lot in the earlier days when we were getting it all together. And yeah, we just see a long future together.
Yeah,
working.
Yeah, I think that early influence of Shan in our community was really important. Her experience in Discord, as I'm sure you guys know, is just invaluable. So it was really helpful. I think she's listening in. So thanks, Shan. You're a legend. And Wizard's knowledge. Well, I think anyone that's interacted in the CU or in Harmony really at this stage is starting to recognise the Wiz. So it's just been really handy to have. It's going to lead to some really interesting relationships. Gameplay, MMO, RPG is sort of really lends itself to these sort of guild and sort of groupthink ideas. So we think the game and our future will have a lot of interaction. That's for sure.
Yeah, cool. There's a question from Pyramid here, which is talk about any plans for Alpha Gaming DAO with respect to future scholarship programs. I think you've touched on that already. Is there anything else that you wanted to sort of talk about on that front, or do you think have you sort of pretty much covered it? Do you think?
So our badges and scholarships as they go on are all going to be and memberships will all be upgradable, which will sort of change the way that people interact with the guild as time, or with the DAO as time goes on. At the moment, we're pushing towards setting up a rental system, which I'm sure I've mentioned. But that's all sort of where a lot of these funds from the badges are going to go towards finishing that off. We recognise that there's just opportunities there, especially in the early parts of these games where they don't have their own rental systems, and people would really like to start to be able to get those assets out and making money for them as quickly as possible. So, and of course, the DAO itself is going to be carrying lots of assets and need those things to happen. So we sort of see it as a bit of a symbiotic relationship as much as anything. Characters, NFTs, these sorts of assets when they're new and when they're young in game and aren't earning quite as much money, but need to be quested. Well, at that stage, we think it'll be quite a cheap thing for renters to be able to do, because they are sort of doing the heavy lifting for the owners of the asset to develop those assets. And then as those assets sort of mature and start to pay off a little bit higher, we expect that those rental fees will reflect that. And that way, sort of the people that have done the hard work and have earned their way through earned their respect and earned their way up the system will be able to access those better assets that will sort of return higher amounts and change as the game goes on. When you look at it in a DFK aspect, you sort of, some of those early quests are sort of really just building experience. They have small payoffs and opportunities there to earn, but those renters that are taking on those assets, we don't expect them to be paying a lot to do that. But then as these things develop into PvE, PvP, you have more mature assets and more powerful characters being rented and hopefully a higher ROI. We expect that money to be shared more. So
Cool.
that's sort of how it's all going to play out. These things are all being set up still. That's, as I say, a lot of our badge mint money is going to go to finishing off that rental system. And we recognise that lots of the games are going to build their own systems. So we'll be operating as a guild in lots of those games where that's already set up. And then there'll be opportunities for people within those guilds to sort of get better deals and better opportunities because they're aligned to the DAO. Having that opportunity to have a large asset base behind players and support them that they otherwise wouldn't have got the opportunity is sort of, giving those people an opportunity to play with a big stack and to play with power and to not be, pushed around by the bigger players and have to sort of accept what's going on because they'll have support of a much larger asset base.
Yeah, and I think one opportunity for DAOs like yours, particularly with CU, could be like with our land staking, getting that land higher level and being able to use that when you may not otherwise have had that opportunity could be really good too.
Yeah, we really like the land staking idea and the way that's playing out over there. We think there are big opportunities. And I think we'll see a lot in these especially the big play to earn games, guilds and groups sort of coming in and holding these assets, as you say, developing them and keeping them developed. The 21-day wait to level up is sort of going to make it so it's quite easy for a guild or a larger group to hold those assets and not have to sort of degrade them to get the income. So we see a big role
matches
there.
really well with guilds and DAOs and that kind of thing, I think.
Yeah, and I think Harmony, the whole Harmony ecosystem sort of lends itself to it. As Kev said, we've been operating in the space for a little while now, and every sort of group of people that we come across in here, they're so willing to reach out. They're so willing to work together. Yeah, the space and the people in the space are remarkably connected. So yeah, there's big things to come in that, I think.
All right. Move on to the next question. Okay, so would you say that your DAO is more for players and gamers rather than investors?
Yeah, I would. I think engagement's crucial for our DAO to be successful. So whilst there is the opportunity for investors and people that want to sort of use us to gain exposure and not necessarily play the game or interact with the games as much, we really think the people that will gain the most out of it will be those that are coming and sharing knowledge and going more in depth with their gaming. So be that asset holders who will be able to sort of, we're hoping to be able to provide a lot of really good data and a lot of really good opportunities for people to improve their gameplay and also players. But in saying that, there's still going to be quite a lot of benefit for your general investor to get exposure to a full range of games. It's just that extra layer of service that we'll be creating with the community, with the tournaments, with the AMAs, with this deeper knowledge and opportunities to find out about early games. So yeah, whilst I think investors will gain a lot out of what we're trying to do, I do think that extra layer of value that we're adding is going to be more towards the gamers and more towards the people that are interacting. In saying that, we've all got friends that sort of really want to be exposed to crypto, but don't necessarily have the time or the technological experience to go out and get themselves MetaMask and get themselves involved and follow it in. So this is a really good starter point for those people. I like to say everyone in crypto's that's been involved in crypto for sort of more than 12 months and done well has had a family member come and ask them to invest their money for them. No one likes that conversation, and I can't recommend saying yes to it ever. But this is an opportunity to say, well, if go and get involved in this system and bring them in and be involved together, and then they can learn and be introduced to the space in that way. We think there's a big opportunity there for those sort of new players to become gamers. So that's how I'd answer that question.
Yeah, cool. Sounds really good. All right, so Gorilla Jazz is asking, so the success of Alpha Gaming DAO will largely depend on the amount of funds it can attract into its treasury. The initial injection will come from the OG badge sale as well as the Alpha token. Other than this, how will the DAO attract more funds or investors and grow its treasury?
Kev, do you want to take that one, or do you want me to take that one?
Yeah, I can take that one. It's so yeah. Initially, we'll raise funds with our badge. The badge mint funds will probably just be used to develop the system that we're creating, and then the IDO will pretty much most of that money will be sent to the treasury, and then the community will be empowered by the tokens held and the badge that opens the door to the voting. And then once our community is empowered, they'll vote to send a part of the treasury to each sub-DAO, and then those funds will grow and profit as we play the games as efficiently as possible. And then we'll also be having partnerships and increasing exposure for other projects, and then hoping to be also through our rental system that'll be generating fees, and then also we plan on increasing the products range that we're going to have. So there's always going to be new things, new ways of generating profit for the community, and yeah, I think it's about. At this stage, we're always looking for new opportunities to make a profit for our treasury anyway.
Yeah, and so the initial IDO, we have a certain number in mind that we're working on of coins and a dollar amount that we're looking at attaining. At this point, yeah, those things aren't 100% locked in, but we're pretty confident about where we're heading with it, and then there will be opportunities during the time for us to obviously sell more Alpha token if the demand is there and we're going well. So that'll be something that's very, very open, very democratic. Yeah, we won't be playing any secrets with these sorts of things. It's just a matter of making those Alpha tokens reflect financially of what that treasury is worth, and that's going to be down to having a very clear dashboard, very clear and concise descriptions of our assets and our holdings, and the community understanding exactly what the value in those tokens are. So we're not sort of looking to create a moon token. We're not sort of looking to, we're looking to create slow, steady, good growth that's reliable and that's easily reflected in that token value. I think lots of people have seen other things and other DAOs that have gone down this path, and we're not reinventing the wheel here. But we have to be realistic, and we have to be just as open as possible about that token value and the value in holding and how it represents our treasury. So that's going to be a big part of our communication with our community and a big part of our website, and a lot of work's going into completing our dashboard so that it's so that people can follow along with those treasury investments as closely as possible and take ownership of them.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. Now you've mentioned that you're aiming more at the gamers and players, and that you'll sort of be targeting scholars to come and join and play and use these assets and grow these assets for your owners or for the DAOs. Do you have like a marketing strategy, or how are you going to attract all of those scholars?
Yeah, so we've had really good response from a lot of the teams within the space. I think a lot of people are recognizing that there is a big opportunity in this space for this sort of a thing. So we feel like we're getting pretty good brand recognition through a lot of AMAs and a lot of projects. Obviously, seems to be, and the more you talk to the people that are running other guilds and that have set these sort of things up already, it's really important to have those bigger players and those the assets in place that people are attracted to and the opportunities. So it's a little bit build it and they will come for a lot of this stuff, but we recognise that being out there and being at the forefront of people's minds is going to be important, because we really do think there will become quite a bit of competition for these scholars. There's going to be a lot of games, a lot of assets out there in the crypto play and earn space that are going to be needing people to take them up. So we actually think that at some point there's going to be a little bit of competition for these scholars, which is going to be a great thing for them. The supply demand thing is going to be really interesting. We're so early in the space that how it all plays out will be quite interesting. We recognise that sort of other scholarship programs haven't necessarily been enjoyable for people, and haven't necessarily been all that empowering for people. So we're more looking at sort of a pure rental type situation, so people can take ownership of their own decision making processes. We don't need to be babying people because they're from a part of the world that they don't have access to things that others do. We just want to empower them to be able to make their decisions and go into commercial deals with people that hold assets, rather than be beholden in sort of hand-holding type situations that we know have appeared in other places. So yeah, it's going to be a lot a lot more empowering, we hope.
Yeah, cool. All right, so you mentioned that you know, a lot of these DAOs are popping up already, and more will continue to appear. How do you sort of what's your goal? How are you going to get people to participate in Alpha Gaming as opposed to other DAOs?
I think our point of difference is that we've got quite a nice range of people from quite a nice range of games already, and it's going to be very much member driven. I don't think any of these DAOs, or in fact any of these crypto projects, succeed without strong community. And you notice it with the CU guys and what you guys do within your Discord community. DFK obviously has been an absolute explosion of a community over there, and we recognise that that's what we're going to need to be doing. So I look around and I'm already seeing people in the list listening that have sort of already started to play big parts in our community, and I think that's what it's going to come down to. Obviously, you know, myself, Kevin, Pix, Roshi, the rest of the team, they're well, some of these guys are much better at what they do than me, trust me. But we've got a really nice range of skills and things that we're good at, and we think a lot of that comes down to relationship building. Kevin and myself are from quite small towns and have led very much volunteer based lifestyles where communities only work if people dig in and build together. So we see that as a little bit of something different that we've come from in our background that sort of adds to this space. Obviously, people have seen Pixetica's art. He's fantastic. Roshi's a great organizer. Wiz doesn't need any introduction. And then the guys that have been working on the website and the badges, 3Pack and Potato, have been doing a great job. So we do the team's good, but the community and the things that are starting to pop up within the community are even better. You know, we had a little tournament last week of Wales, and sort of I think it just started to show what we can do. You know, these fun little pop up things that people come along and have a great time and value add enjoyment to these things as well as financial opportunities. So we do see that our background is a little bit point of difference, but also just that nice spread that we've already got and that good experience in lots of different places is really starting to pay off. So that's where I'd go that without blowing out our own horn too much. We think we can offer something a little different to some others. So that's probably our point of difference.
Yeah, cool. Sounds really good. I'm just sort of going through the community questions now. If anyone wants to verbally ask a question, just raise your hand and I'll get you on stage to speak. Otherwise, you can put it into the Alpha Gaming DAO text channel. It's under our Harmony ecosystem category, and I'll get to that. We've got one from Graylin here. Will there be any tokenomics for holding OneFi token?
There's another one there for Graylin. It's actually not a pet. I'm on a farm and there's like 1 million birds going nuts because we had some rain. So I do apologise, but I had to sneak outside because the kids are getting ready for school. So that's what you can hear. The birds having a great time. OneFi is an interesting situation, and we're sort of early days and right from the start. We sort of had intentions and still do in lots of ways of launching our token with OneFi. We just are in a little bit of a space there where we have to wait for a little bit more information and for things to go a little bit further down the track before we can tie ourselves to anything in particular in that space. And I don't think we're the only ones in that situation, but it sounds like things are actually ticking along pretty well there, and we might know a little bit more soon. A lot will come down to with our decision on whether to launch on OneFi or whether we have to go on our own website will come down to how our badges will interact with that launch. Our OG badges will be like a key whitelist type position to be able to access the IDO. So yeah, once we get a little bit further down the track and a little bit more knowledge on exactly how OneFi will be able to operate, that we'll be able to notify people a little bit more about how that's going to work and how that's going to happen. We understand that we're obviously going to have to provide liquidity for our token, and that's all going to happen. There's just some information that we need before we can lock anything in.
Perfect. I actually don't mind the birds in the background. They sound pretty cool.
I've got a little family of minor birds, and they chase all the big birds out of this little tree out the back of my house. So that's half of what we can hear is battle royale for the birds.
All right, so we've got a question here from Papa Big Mac. How do you decide what games to participate in, and how do we as investors fit into those decisions and influence new games into entering the DAO's treasury?
Great question. And this is sort of why we have to, we'll try and be as independent as we can be, because we see ourselves playing a role as helping out and looking into these things. But yeah, totally democratically driven. We'll put these things to votes, and whether or not a game enters the Moon DAO will be whether or not it has community support. So we'll have a system that will most likely reward people for bringing things to our attention and introducing new games, and obviously we find that people are actually gravitating towards us, and that projects are actually coming to us at the moment, which is really good. And obviously, as our community grows, we'll see a lot more of that. But then that'll obviously mean that we have to be a little bit more careful about what we go into. But that's where we'll be relying on the community, people to go digging. There's people that are just really good at looking into these things. We've seen people pop up in the crypto Twitter space and even in the Alpha Gaming DAO pages already, just with opinions and a little bit different knowledge set and a little bit different ability to go a bit deeper on these games and ask questions that are important. So we don't see ourselves as becoming sort of an echo chamber to just advertise games. We want to look into these things a little bit deeper and give people the real opportunity. So community driven. Whether or not something goes into the Moon DAO, we'll go to a vote. Whether or not something goes into its own sub DAO, we'll also go to a vote, and then those sub DAOs will develop their own little communities based around them. So yeah, it's not going to be up to myself. It's not going to be up to Kevin. It'll be up to how many people own these badges. The birds are getting loud now. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. All right. What does the growth plan look like, including the roadmap, so timelines and stuff? And is there any reason for Alpha Gaming DAO to be profitable, and where will that profit go?
Okay, so obviously in our roadmap, badge mint the next week or so, IDO not long after that, and that'll give us the funds to actually start going into these things. There's still plenty of timing opportunities and things that we'll be able to access. As far as growth and profits go, we intend most to be going straight back into just building the treasury. There's not a lot to come out. Our white paper has our tokenomics and breakdown of how we see the token operating and the percentages of what's going where. We think it's quite reasonable. We've tried to stay on the fairer side as possible, and because we've stayed away from having VC early investors sort of bootstrapping us, we're not beholden to anyone. Anything we've done so far, we've funded ourselves. The giveaways have all come from ourselves. So we don't sort of have that drive from one big investor somewhere that needs us to do something or needs us to perform in some certain way. So it's all we intend to be going back into actually building things that are actually going to be profitable for our community, whether that be the rental system, whether that be data collection systems, whether that just be paying people to provide great content. And building that treasury. We sort of see it as a long-term project. A lot of our members of our team members are sort of people that have been involved in projects long term. They're not looking for sort of a 2 or 3 month hobby. We're looking at building something over the long term. So is going to be just going back into that treasury, into building those assets and building the community.
Yeah, cool. And you mentioned the rental program there. How does Alpha Gaming DAO benefit from that rental program? Is there like a fee for essentially providing the service?
There'll be a nominal fee in that. The rental market itself is something that's going to be really needed by the DAO. We're going to need to have that. We intend on holding sort of quite a lot of assets, especially in these games that are a little bit more developed, where the gameplay and the NFTs are actually what's driving profitability. But the reality of that is that once you get to those positions, you can't quest them efficiently. So that marketplace there will be providing a service to the DAO and a service to the treasury and a service to members as much as anything. So that's its number one value, but there will be a fee involved in that. It'll be something small. It'll be something no different to what you're expecting from sort of other markets of similar ilk, that 2% to 3% type range, just to pay for upkeep, to pay for development and these types of things. It is the sort of thing that if it catches on, it can be a really big profit driver, but we don't sort of intend that to be the thing that's making most of our money, because we understand that if we're taking if we're eating into people's profits in marginal situations, for some people that sort of 2-3% can make a big difference if you go much higher than that. So it needs to be reasonable.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Another question, which I think is quite a good one, is you've mentioned the Alpha Gaming DAO to be like a bridge for bringing new players to play and earn. Is there a way to engage people in the DAO as they grow and hold their own assets that they own?
I've just been chatting away with my thing on mute. Sorry.
I was just about to say you're muted there, buddy.
Awesome. No, I think that's well worth mentioning. So obviously it's going to be great for people to be exposed through the token to lots of different things. But the number one concentration for most people really is their own portfolio and growing that and becoming better at knowing certain things. So we think just by giving people access to other people with ideas is one great way to sort of improve their own growth. But we do intend to...
so it's more that information sort of side of it.
Yeah, our badges will be upgradable though. So there is benefit for engagement within our community. There will be levels of where you get to and you do, firstly in Discord, also in the voting and these types of things. So we do intend to encourage that engagement with people as they grow and learn. And we do hope, like the genuine hope is that our first set of people that come in that aren't asset holders and are renters become asset holders and become major players. Like that has to be the aim for these people. There's no point starting off with no ambition. So we have to create those opportunities for people to be able to step up and hopefully sort of short-term renters become long-term renters that then earn enough from their renting to be able to go out and purchase their own assets. And whether that be through our guilds and through other deals that pop up in the future or just through hard work and grinding their way to it, providing that opportunity is going to be quite satisfying, I think. Like I don't know, for myself, and you guys would see it as well, like new players and onboarding new players and seeing their reaction when they realise exactly what this means for their financial situation is just really satisfying and quite enjoyable. So I think I think there's going to be a lot of that.
Yeah, cool. I agree. I like the sort of progression. That you can start off small and slowly grow and build, and develop your own assets over time. I think that's everyone's sort of incentive.
Yeah, look, if you told me 12 months ago the sort of money that I'd be, or obviously a bit more than 12 months, I guess 24 months ago, the sort of money that I'd be playing around with NFTs and stuff, my mind would have just been totally blown. But that's the reality as you become more confident in the technology. more knowledgeable about what's happening out there. It's just a natural progression. So, yeah, being able to help those people along the way is something that we think will be playing a rather large role in.
Yeah. All right. So, do you think there is something you can do to work closer together with the Harmony One team? Because that way, if there are certain concerns from gaming, they can be addressed without having much tension. So I think what Dish is trying to say is, like, have you engaged with the Harmony One team, and do you have like an open dialogue with them, or?
So we sort of wanted to be in a situation where we built ourselves and we'd shown value before we went around looking for grants and these sorts of things. But I recognise that there is a massive opportunity there to sort of be that conduit, to be that neutral space where people can come and discuss these things openly and clearly. So there is a big opportunity there, and we have had quite good sort of tacit support from the Harmony team through retweets and these sorts of things. But as far as reaching out, we want to be in a situation where we've built something and we've got something, and the community itself is starting to prove that already. But we really see that as sort of our next step. Once we have badges, once we have a definite membership number, once we've got something tangible there, well, then that's the time to start going to these other people and saying, what can you do for us? Because this is what we can do for you. And I recognise the question is a really good question, because I actually, we've seen a couple of situations where a neutral space for people to come and have a yarn would be quite good. Like, how good would it be if we could get that Lee, Jiang, or some of these guys in, have a chat just about general gaming in the Harmony space. So that's where we hope to get to. We think we can be quite influential, but that all comes from numbers, from engagement and support. So we really need to build that community, build that reputation, and then we'll really think we'll be able to provide those opportunities. It's a good question, and I think that's where the space is going, and it's where it needs to go. There probably has been a bit of disconnect, I think it's fair to say, between the central team and some of the other projects, but I don't think that's been done with any malice. It's just a situation that's sort of sprung up and can actually be quite well dealt with, I think, if lines of communication are kept open. So
yeah,
we're more than happy to be that line.
Yeah, it's just about that communication being open and being able to have the conversation, I think. All right.
Yeah, for sure. And these sort of Discord, like, what a great medium Discord is, like, yeah, it just works so well with this space and with sort of getting information out there, but actually giving people the opportunity to play back into these things. Fantastic medium.
Yeah, it's really good. All right, so will the DAO only hold play and earn assets, or will there be a push to also hold other crypto assets in the treasury in order to diversify? More DeFi than GameFi.
Kev, do you want to take that one? I sort of feel like I've been holding court here a bit.
Yeah, I think the central plays will be all play and earn games. Generally, and all decisions will be made democratically by the community, and as Jerry said, we'll be upgrading these badges, and once you get to a certain level, you'll be able to propose, raise proposals for us to vote on, and if the community votes to get some DeFi assets because they think that there's a new DEX that's going to take the whole ecosystem by storm, I don't see any negative or any pushback from that. It'll just be a community consensus that wherever we go, we'll be centering ourselves in the play and earn sector. But yeah, like if there's like if we will probably hold some 1FI tokens just because it's a new DEX, and if it's going to be a place where you come along and, as Wizard's been saying, that it is going to be a 3D world where you interact with these DEXs and these banks and these lending platforms. I see us holding the opportunity to hold some of those assets is definitely definite possibility, all voted upon by the community.
Yeah, cool. I like that it's very much community driven and voted on democratically. That's yeah, it's ideal, really.
We think it's the only way it can work, you know, like it's not much point sort of running a pseudo guild where 5 people own all the tokens and everyone else just watches what they do. Just won't build. So I've been involved in quite a lot of sort of organisations, community organisations that if the community don't feel ownership, well, you may as well shut down. So otherwise we're not looking at providing entertainment value for people. We're looking at being a part of a bigger team and a bigger community.
Okay. I'm just going to try and summarize this question. How would you define the benefit of investing in Alpha Gaming as opposed to simply investing directly in projects?
I can take that one, Kev. I think it's the opportunity to be exposed to other things that you don't have time to dig up. You talk about the first 15 minutes to 20 minutes of some of these projects is where a lot of the money is to be made. Maybe the first couple of days, but being early. So if you're invested purely in one project, and I can use myself as a great example there, sort of heavily DFK from very early times, but because of that, I missed Cosmic Universe launch. I missed Magic, and I've regretted it terribly since. I've made up for it. I've got myself plenty of wizards now, but I missed that opportunity. Now, missing that opportunity would not have been such a bad thing had I been invested in an alpha token that was also exposed to that already. So that's where we see a big benefit there. You're going to be financially exposed to these smaller games as well as the information flow if you hold the token. So for myself, I'll still be running my own portfolios and still be invested in individual projects that I particularly like or I particularly have fun in. But I'll know that the alpha token is there exposed to these other projects, especially in the Moon DAO type situation. Obviously, because the bigger DAOs are these more experienced games that players are more likely to hold assets in already of their own. But in a Moon DAO situation, having exposure to the alpha token is really going to give you the opportunity there to know that you'll at least be catching some of those really early plays without having to be lined up for a whitelist somewhere or spending the hours of time to get involved and to do the research enough for yourself, because we'll have people doing that for you. So that's where we see that alpha token being a benefit.
Yeah, cool. That certainly makes sense, having that access to not access, the easy access to information, because everyone can still get that information on their own, but it saves time and effort by having a community do it together, essentially.
That's right. Well, we've all been on that deep dive when you're coming across a new project, and it's fun and it's good, but we think the opportunity to have that space there to actually go through the process with other people and have that shortcutted by people that are already a little bit deeper in those projects to come and help, and we're seeing it already happen on the Alpha Discord. We've got some quite experienced DFK players that have been sort of sharing their experience and sharing what they're doing and sort of giving ideas, inspiration to others. And we're seeing a little bit in lots of the other playable games. Atlantis and the Whales, when land came for CU, we've seen a lot of discussions for these sorts of things and ideas and just the sharing of values. There might be something that one player who is quite particularly deep on a project has missed that someone else picked up on, and sort of taking those two philosophies and putting them together could create the more efficient way of playing. So we see that as a big part.
All right, we're getting towards the end of the hour now. We've got one more question. If anyone else has a question, just throw it up now or put your hand up and we'll get to it, but we're going to be finishing up pretty shortly. So from Papa Big Mac again, Harmony seems to be the main focus of Alpha Gaming DAO right now. How soon will projects in other chains be looked at as a possibility for investment for the DAO?
Yeah, this is an interesting question, and obviously, our team members are all sort of Harmony background, and a lot of our sort of knowledge is based around Harmony because that's where we're starting and launching. But we're seeing a lot of the games start to talk about cross training. Yeah, yourselves, DFK have already made the switch in the last 24 hours. A bit exciting for a few people. Terrible timing for me, but we're seeing it happen. So that natural progression is going to be there. Sort of early days. There's been a couple of games that chose not to go with Harmony, and sort of that's led to us probably dropping off our interest a little bit, just because there's only 9 of us. We can only follow a certain amount of projects at this stage. But there's nothing at all going to be written into our rules or constitution that says that if a great opportunity comes up on another chain and the community gets around it, that we won't support it. So yeah, we sort of see that growing as our community grows and as our expertise grows and as our knowledge grows. And there is going to be some natural progression there. Obviously, we're already going to be operating on the DFK chain, sort of as soon as we're able. I notice there's always a little bit of chatter in the cosmic world about whether cross-training happens and when it happens, and the same can be said for lots of the other projects that we've done AMAs for. So I think that cross-train future.
From what you're saying, it sort of sounds like you're sort of going to, at least initially, follow these projects that you're already invested in, already following the progression of, and whether they go cross-chain, and then from there things can sort of develop further.
Yeah, that's right. And look, we're at a stage where we're tied to nothing. We have our relationships, but really we don't even have our community at this point. We're still waiting for our first set of votes. So all of these things are up in the air, and what happens between now and when those first set of votes happen is obviously going to affect a lot of the future. But we see a big future on Harmony, especially for new games. It's the cheap and fast transactions. I know we've had the RPC issues and some of these other things, but I personally feel like we're getting on top of them. And I feel like there's a lot of excitement to happen and to still come in the Harmony space. And what some of these games are, when Wizard and you guys get what you've got cooking over there out to the world, we're going to see exactly what this Harmony chain can do. So yeah, we won't be much in the background, but obviously we will be following the opportunities that as they arise wherever they be.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, Rob, it looks like we've got a question from Yakul here. If you've got just enough time for that, probably.
Yep.
I'll invite him up.
Okay.
All right, go for it, man.
Oh, thank you, guys. Hey, yeah, this is pretty exciting. I just wanted to ask, like the scholarship programs, is Alpha Gaming gonna be a part of that, or is that even how, if you have assets in any of these digital games, GameFi games, is Alpha Gaming how you facilitate that, or does each individual project facilitate that as well? Or I have no clue.
I sort of see it as a bit of a dual system. So we look at DFK and the way they're setting up at the moment with their renters. They're talking about having different levels and renters / scholars being able to sort of upgrade from commoner through to hero status, and we'll work in kind of a similar way to that. Our renters, scholars, they'll be upgraded. Their efficiencies will be sort of checked, and so that we want the better guys and the better people, the better players, the more efficient players renting those assets. So there'll be upgradable levels for those renters as well. So we'll have our own scholarship system, but we recognise that where games have them set up within game, it's a lot more efficient to use those systems as well. I think there's probably, and I don't want to sort of put words into the Cosmic team's mouths, but I imagine that you guys would have plans to have guilds sort of fairly well integrated into the game. So we'll try and work in with those sorts of things as well, and we'll appear as an Alpha Gaming guild in lots of these games where that's sort of appropriate. So there'll be a lot of a lot of duality in the way that works. So you'll have ratings within our alpha system for your efficiency if you're a renter, and or a scholar, and it will improve and that'll work together with whatever the games have got set up.
Oh, awesome! Thank you.
Okay.
No worries. Good question. Kev, do you want to maybe, because we are running out of time, do you want to maybe choose a favourite question, and we'll do an OG badge giveaway?
Yep, I'll go through them now, quickly.
Cool. Just want to reiterate to the people that have taken the time to come and have a listen, and to Riptide and Rhythm, thanks for having us, and the rest of the Cosmic team.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, it's been fun. It's been fun. We haven't sort of done many about ourselves. We go around asking the questions mainly so far, so it's interesting to be on the other side.
I should have asked a question, get a chance of an OG badge.
Grab a badge. We're pretty happy with the badges. It's quite a satisfying process to actually have something there now. You know, we've been coming, and it's there, and it's tangible, and it's ready to go. So we've got a bit of advertisement. If people want to follow along in the next week or so, there will be, I'd say, lots of opportunities for giveaways. So follow along, and this won't be the last chance you get.
Yeah, cool.
So I've chosen the one. I think they've all been really good questions, and thanks to everyone for coming along and asking questions and being intrigued by what we're building here. I've chosen KAC710. He's asked if we have Cosmic Universe assets that we can't play with, or due to in real life issues, or just having stuff being busy in real life, will the Alpha Gaming offer us the ability to stake our assets with their pooled assets in exchange for AG tokens as some sort of rental payment that allows for me to maintain true ownership, but also be able to have some of that profit if I cannot play with the assets? And that's exactly what we are aiming to do with our rental system. It'll be some of our Alpha Gaming DAO held assets, but also people, just as KAC has mentioned, people that can't play bring their assets along and can have them rented while maintaining ownership. That's a big key to our play. And congratulations for taking home an OG badge. They look pretty magnificent, if you ask me, and I'm pretty excited to start minting next Sunday.
Yeah, very good. If anyone's got more questions, like we're about to finish up here, but you can always pop over to the Alpha Gaming DAO Discord. I'm pretty sure someone's already pasted that link somewhere. Or you can put the questions in the Alpha Gaming DAO channel that we've got on our Discord. And Jerry or Kevin Pix, I'm assuming one of you guys will keep an eye on that over the next coming days.
Yeah, we'll spend a bit of time in there. Yeah, Pix will be busy tweeting. He's got a lot of advertising to do.
Cool.
It's just waiting to go. I just need to do one more thing.
All right. Well, I guess we'll
spend some time in the text there, and everyone's more than welcome to come over. Have a read of the white paper. We've got a Medium article there. There's some information starting to leak out about our badges. A couple of little views that you'll be able to get. Just take ownership. Jump in. There's opportunities there to be at the real start of a community, and something that we think can be pretty special. So come and have a look and find your place and put in what you think you want. So you'll only get out what you put in. That's what we find in life. So come and get involved.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming along. Thanks Jerry and Kevin and Pix for being available and making some time for us. And we'll see you for the next AMA.
Thanks for having us. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, we'll be asking the questions next time. I want to hear about elves and 3D whizzies. So I'm excited.
No worries.
Good on you guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, guys.